This is a large colony of Formica subsericea, and they are my pets now for 6 years. They are on their fourth Formicarium, and they have completely filled this one up, and it's about time to make them something new. I wanted to make a last video to show their current state and status and how much they're really filling this one up, and hopefully the next one will look a little different with some empty spots here and there. Right now it is early June, and they have lots and lots of pupae. Now some of the pupae have cocoons wrapped around them, and then others are naked pupae. My best guess as to why that happens, and it happens in some species, in some colonies and not others, is it's got something to do with the types of substrate and the amount of substrate. Sometimes it's lack of substrate. This Formicarium is made of white tongue, so it's on Tar Heel Ant's website. It's a type 1 Formicarium, so most of this area is sand coated. It's kind of hard to see with all the stuff on the bottom. So they have some flooring that is sand coated, but it's possible that they've taken most of that loose sand and used it up over the course of the 3 years that they've been in this Formicarium. So anyway, you're going to see that probably, especially in Formica species, definitely some Camponotus colonies as well. You can really see it any time that you have a colony that has spins cocoons, and these are Lasius, Camponotus, Formica. These are the genus is Brachymermex, Odontomachus. But there's plenty others. You see that little dark spot right there on the side of the screen? That's just where ants have bathroom areas, so they will expel their waste from their bodies in certain spots. Now this is a 3-year-old Formicarium, so they have a few spots in here that it's really hard to tell which spots they are using the most, and they seem to switch back and forth. It does not seem to bother them. It doesn't cause any kind of toxic issues, and a lot of times they'll have their brood right close to that area. You see they really using the ceiling too. Formica, like I've gotten some great video shots of them cleaning themselves from the ceiling while they're hanging upside down. They hang the brood upside down. They'll hang their food upside down, so one will be holding a piece of food from the ceiling while others are standing upright and feeding on parts of it from below. They really pack in this Formicarium, and the reason this is a type 1 material, It's got a lot of dimples. It's really good at absorbing moisture. Again, you see there's another bathroom area here. One of the very most important things about raising a large colony of ants is ensuring that the humidity levels don't climb too high. And white tongue is very good about preventing that because of all the dimples. It does absorb moisture very well. So you have to be careful with some ant colonies, and that they will get so crowded in there, and if you have any fluctuation in humidity and the moisture, it can cause problems with their brood and the health of the colony. If it gets too humid, it is possible for an ant nest to get too humid. And the best way to prevent that is to make sure you have a regulated environment where the temperature and humidity are kept the same, and some sort of absorbent material that is available for the ants, and the moisture can soak into that. And if condensation does form, that they have something to place on those droplets of water to make them feel safe. So now we have feeding time. We're feeding some organic beechwood honey to this large Formica subsericea colony. This is a little bit light. Actually, I usually give them much more honey at the same time. But I also wanted to give them some crickets today. So this will be completely gone tomorrow, and that is typical. They never have leftover food. Just recently we fed them an entire apple. Just a little bit of it was cut off. They hollowed out the whole thing. The only thing that was left was the apple peel itself after a few days. These ants will eat an enormous amount of food if you let them. And if you want them to grow faster, you feed them well. It just requires a little bit more feeding and more cleaning. So this foraging area is only 6 by 8 inches for a colony of several thousand ants, and that is adequate up until now. These ants are really, really calm, so I haven't needed to use Fluon before, but I'm getting to the point now there's just too many of them. For their safety, I need to use Fluon. They're not aggressive ants. They will bite you if you make them alarmed or they feel threatened, but most of the workers that escape by me taking off the lid to feed them are easy to just kind of put on your hand for a minute and watch them crawl around while you finish your feeding, and then when you're done, as the lid goes back on, you just kind of scrape them off. So you're watching them feed on the crickets here, and they continue to feed on that honey. They take the cricket parts down really quick. That's normal, and they'll feed on those to their larvae and the other workers. And it doesn't take long for them to clean off those dishes. Usually about 15 to 30 minutes, the cricket dishes will be empty, and I go ahead and remove those or put more food out for them. I've got a good spot in here for 5 feeding dishes, maybe 6 if I get really creative. And you can see down the activity level at the top starts to really build as they're taking the food down for their brood and for the other workers and the queen. And after a few hours, this is what it looks like while they're still feeding on the honey. All the cricket pieces are gone. The ants continue to lap up and clean those dishes where their crickets were. They want to get all that material from the crickets. And the honey will be gone shortly. I think we filmed this the next day it was, and you see how well they cleaned off those dishes, and they are still trying to find more. So thanks for watching this video. We'll do another one soon of them in their new habitat.